Here's a cheating story based on the title. When I decided to propose to Vanessa, I thought I was taking the next step in what had been a beautiful 4-year relationship. We'd been living together for 2 years, shared countless memories, and had built what I believed to be a solid foundation. But when I got down on one knee and asked her to be my wife, her reaction was far from what I expected. Vanessa hesitated, her eyes darting away from mine. I'm not ready for marriage, she said softly, almost too quiet to hear. Her words hit me like a slap. I wasn't expecting an over-the-top yes, but I also hadn't prepared myself for rejection. "What do you mean you're not ready?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. "It's just, I don't know if I want that right now," she said, looking everywhere but at me. I pushed further, asking her to explain, but her vague responses only made my frustration grow. I told her we'd talk about it later, but deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Later that evening, while Vanessa was in the shower, I found myself pacing the living room. Her phone buzzed on the couch, and I glanced at it out of instinct. A text from someone named Ryan popped up. The preview read, "Asterisk, can't stop thinking about last night. When can I see you again? Asterisk." My chest tightened. My hands trembled as I unlocked her phone, a habit we'd always been comfortable with in our relationship. What I found shattered my heart. The messages between her and Ryan painted a picture of a full-blown affair. There were plans for secret meetups, intimate exchanges, and photos that made me nauseous. She'd been seeing him for months, all while living under my roof and pretending to be my partner. When she stepped out of the shower, wrapped in a towel and oblivious to what I'd just uncovered, I confronted her. At first, she denied it, but when I showed her the messages, her face turned pale. "I was going to tell you," she stammered, her voice trembling. "Tell me? When?" "After I'd wasted more of my life on you." My voice cracked, a mix of anger and betrayal boiling over. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind. While I was planning a future with her, she was sneaking around behind my back. The rejection of my proposal now made perfect sense. She'd been hedging her bets, unsure if I was the one she truly wanted. "Pack your things," I said, my voice cold and firm. "You're leaving tonight." She tried to plead, saying it was a mistake, that she cared about me, but her words meant nothing to me now. I couldn't keep someone in my life who had betrayed me so deeply. Vanessa left that night, and as the door closed behind her, I felt a mix of heartbreak and relief. It hurt to end things, but I knew I deserved better. Letting go of her was painful, but it was the first step toward reclaiming my dignity and starting over. In the end, the rejection of my proposal wasn't the worst thing that could have happened. It was the wake-up call I needed to see the truth. In the days that followed, the apartment felt emptier, but also strangely lighter. The weight of mistrust and deceit had been lifted, even if it left a void in its place. I boxed up the remaining items Vanessa had left behind, her absence a stark reminder of how quickly a relationship could unravel. At first, I blamed myself, replaying every moment of our relationship and wondering where I'd gone wrong. Did I miss the signs? Could I have done something differently? But as the weeks passed, I came to understand that her actions weren't a reflection of my shortcomings. They were a reflection of hers. Still, moving on wasn't easy. The betrayal cut deep, and trusting anyone else felt like an impossible task. My friends rallied around me, insisting I deserved better and taking me out to distract me. But I knew healing wasn't about distractions. It was about confronting my pain head-on. One day, while scrolling through my social media feed, I stumbled upon a post from Ryan, the same Ryan from the messages. He'd posted a picture of himself with Vanessa, captioned, Asterisk, new beginnings with the one who makes my heart race. Asterisk, the audacity was almost laughable. Seeing her with him hurt, but it also solidified my decision to cut her out of my life. I didn't need someone who could so easily betray me. If she thought Ryan was her future, then she could have him. I just hoped he knew what he was getting into, because once a cheater, always a cheater. Over time, I poured myself into things that brought me joy. I started working out more, picked up an old hobby I'd neglected, painting, and even began traveling to places I'd always wanted to see. The pain of betrayal didn't vanish overnight, but it dulled with every step I took toward rebuilding my life. Months later, I ran into an old friend at a local cafe. Her name was Maya, someone I'd known in college but lost touch with over the years. She was vibrant, kind, and had this contagious laugh that made me forget my troubles. We started meeting up more frequently, and what began as casual catch-ups soon blossomed into something deeper. Maya was nothing like Vanessa. She was honest, compassionate, and made me feel seen in a way I hadn't in years. For the first time in a long while, I felt a glimmer of hope for the future. Looking back, Vanessa's rejection and betrayal felt like a blessing in disguise. It forced me to confront what I truly wanted in life and reminded me of my worth. Ending our relationship wasn't just about kicking her out of my apartment. It was about kicking out the toxicity that had no place in my life. Now, standing on the other side of the pain, I realized something important. Sometimes, losing someone isn't the tragedy it seems. It's the start of finding yourself again. And for that, I was grateful. As my relationship with Maya deepened, I couldn't help but reflect on how different it felt compared to what I'd experienced with Vanessa. Maya and I communicated openly, a stark contrast to the secrecy and avoidance that had plagued my past. She was curious about my thoughts and feelings, always willing to talk things through, even when the topics were tough. One evening, as we sat on my balcony watching the city lights twinkle, I decided to share everything with her about Vanessa, the proposal, and how it all fell apart. It wasn't an easy conversation, but I felt it was necessary. Maya listened intently, her hand resting on mine. "I can't imagine how hard that must have been," she said softly. "But you handled it with so much strength. You deserve someone who values you, and I hope you know that now." Her words were like a balm to my soul. It wasn't just about feeling validated. It was about realizing I'd finally found someone who genuinely cared about me, not out of obligation, but because they wanted to. As time went on, Vanessa became a distant memory. Occasionally, I'd hear snippets about her through mutual acquaintances. Apparently, her relationship with Ryan had fizzled out not long after it began. Part of me wanted to feel vindicated, but instead, I just felt indifferent. Her choices were her own, and I was too busy building a new life to dwell on them. One day, while cleaning out my storage, I stumbled upon the engagement ring I bought for Vanessa. I'd almost forgotten about it. The sight of it brought back a rush of emotions, but this time, they didn't hurt. Instead, they reminded me of how far I'd come. Rather than sell the ring, I decided to repurpose it. I had the diamond reset into a beautiful pendant, something entirely my own. It became a symbol of transformation, a reminder that even broken dreams could be reshaped into something beautiful. Maya loved the necklace when I showed it to her, though she didn't know its full backstory. "It's gorgeous," she said, her fingers tracing the delicate chain. "And it suits you perfectly." A few years later, I found myself back in a jewelry store, but this time, it wasn't for a necklace. Standing under the soft glow of the store's lights, I picked out a new engagement ring, one that felt right for the person I was now, and for the incredible woman I wanted to spend my life with. When I proposed to Maya during a weekend getaway in the mountains, her answer was immediate and heartfelt. "Yes," she said, tears streaming down her face as she threw her arms around me. That moment was everything I'd hoped for and more. It wasn't just about finding love again. It was about finding the right love. The kind that uplifts you, heals you, and makes you believe in the future. In the end, Vanessa's rejection wasn't the end of my story. It was just the beginning. Life had a way of putting me through trials, but it also rewarded me for enduring them. And as I looked into Maya's eyes, I knew with certainty that every step of the journey had been worth it. Maya and I spent the months following our engagement in a blissful whirlwind of planning, dreaming, and laughing about our future together. Unlike my previous experience this time, everything felt natural. No doubts, no secrecy, just a partnership rooted in trust and shared goals. The wedding day was a small, intimate affair, just as we'd envisioned, held at a picturesque lakeside venue. The ceremony was filled with the warmth of close friends and family. When Maya walked down the aisle, her radiant smile lit up the entire space. Seeing her in that moment, I felt a kind of peace I'd never known before, as if every hardship in my past had been leading me to this. During our vows, Maya spoke words that stayed with me forever. "You've shown me what love can be, honest, patient, and unbreakable. You've made me believe that even when life throws us challenges, there's always hope for something better. I promise to walk beside you, no matter where life takes us." Her words resonated deeply, reminding me of the journey that had brought us together. I shared my own vows, expressing how her kindness and authenticity had restored my faith in love. As we exchanged rings, I felt the weight of my past fully lift. The life I'd once envisioned with someone else no longer mattered. The pain of betrayal had transformed into the strength that brought me to this incredible moment. The reception was a joyful celebration. Friends gave heartfelt toasts, and my best man, a close friend who'd seen me through the darkest times, joked about how far I'd come since the infamous proposal rejection. Everyone laughed, including me, because what had once been a painful memory now felt like a stepping stone to something greater. In the months that followed, Maya and I settled into married life. It wasn't perfect. No relationship is, but we faced every challenge as a team. We learned to communicate better, leaned on each other during tough times, and celebrated every victory, no matter how small. One evening, as we sat together in our cozy living room, Maya curled up beside me with a book. I reflected on how different my life had become. The apartment I'd once shared with Vanessa was long gone, replaced by a home filled with warmth and love. "Penny, for your thoughts?" Maya asked, glancing up from her book. I smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Just thinking about how lucky I am to have you." She laughed softly. "We're both lucky," she said, leaning in to kiss me. As the years passed, our family grew in ways we couldn't have imagined. We traveled to places we'd always dreamed of, built careers that fulfilled us, and eventually welcomed 2 beautiful children into our lives. Each day brought new challenges, but also new joys. Looking back, I often thought about the path that had led me here. Vanessa's rejection and betrayal, painful as they were, had been necessary detours on the road to true happiness. They taught me resilience, self-worth, and the importance of holding out for the love I truly deserved. In the end, life didn't just give me a second chance. It gave me everything I never knew I needed. And for that, I would always be grateful.